If you clicked on this video, you're either interested in real estate, or you already are in a real estate course, or you know nothing about real estate but you want to get into it. Regardless of the reason, I'm so glad you're here because I'm here to help you out. If you're new here, hello, my name is Isabella and I'm so happy you're here. I got my real estate license at 18 and I passed the exam on my first try, so I'm going to give you all the advice and information you need to know to pass your exam. Getting your real estate license could be so rewarding, especially if you're like me and you wanted to get it at the earliest age you could. It could take you in so many different directions, whether you want to pursue residential or commercial property. There's just really great opportunity in this career. Or even if real estate is not something you want to pursue full-time, it's just a really great thing to have. So if you're just trying to also just get the license, that's amazing too. So I'm here to give you guys the full breakdown of what I did to pass the exam on my first try and get that license. I'm gonna also explain to you how I studied, what I used, all the methods and all of that. I'm a full-time college student and I was able to still get the license, so if I could do it, you could do it too, 100%. I already made a whole layout of all the information I'm going to tell you guys on my notes. So the first thing we're going to start with is the licensing course that I used. So depending on the state you live in, you're going to look for a course in your state. So for example, I'm from California, so I had to get the California real estate license, and that's through a California certified course. The course that I specifically used is called Real Estate Trainers. Honestly, by far the best course. I really enjoyed it and it helped me learn a lot and retain a lot of things. So if you're trying to find a good one, and if you're in California, definitely check out their courses. They have different certifications, so if you're going to be a real estate agent, then you would get the salesperson course. There's different packages, so the one that I got was the 3-course package. This one is $384 plus tax. Sounds like a lot, but it also includes the books, the 3 required courses that you need to take, as well as practice questions and the crash course before your exam. I'm going to go into detail about what this course entails and looks like. So if you buy the 3-course package, it comes with 3 courses. This is the real estate principles, real estate practice, as well as an elective of your choice. You get to choose one from like a drop-down menu, and you could choose any from the list that they have regarding real estate. So I chose property management. So within these courses, there's unit quizzes for each chapter. You're gonna need to complete each unit quiz for the chapter to complete one course, and at the end of each course, there's a final exam that you take. And once you pass them, then you complete the whole course and you get your certificate of completion for that whole course. My advice for you is to try to knock out the course as fast as you can. And I say this because most of the information and studying comes from after you complete this course, because once you're done completing everything that you need to and you get your certificate, then you really want to start locking in and retaining the information daily. So first things first, purchase your course, complete all the courses, quizzes, and final exams. Once you're done with that, put it to the side, and then you're gonna start studying for the exam. And this is coming from experience, because when I first started taking my real estate course, I would read each chapter for the unit quizzes and just read it in full detail, highlight everything, and then take it. It was super slow, and I realized that when I was doing course number 1, I just realized that it wasn't really an effective way of retaining the information. I just wasn't grasping everything, and there was so many quizzes, so I felt like I was trying to cram everything in, when in reality I just needed to complete that course, get it done, and then after I would start studying more effectively. This is just personally for me, but I do recommend to just try to finish it as most as you can, because trust me, the studying and the information that comes later once you complete everything that you need to in that course. Alright, now let's discuss my study routine and the timing I took to study this material. So I will say that you should be spending at least 1 to 2 hours studying real estate material a day. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, it'll help you in the long run. Real estate material is not the most entertaining. It has a lot of government laws, government powers. There's just a lot within the field that you'll learn about and just never guess that you had to retain. So I do recommend spending more time on it because these are things that you actually have to understand in your head. For instance, if you don't understand one thing, a lot of things correlate to each other in real estate. So chances are if you don't understand one thing, you're gonna have a hard time understanding another. So you really want to nail that concept down in depth. To make it a little lighter and easier for yourself, I will say going to study in different locations helps a ton. For example, I'm a college student and I'm someone that cannot study in my dorm. Like, I have to be out, I have to be at an area that is just peaceful yet productive. So for me, I would go to coffee shops or just visit new places, get a nice change of scenery. It helps improve your productivity. This is a big thing when you're studying because you want to make sure you're efficiently learning, and being stuck in one place over and over will feel like it's really repetitive. There's so much information to cover, so definitely try to romanticize this process as much as you can. Keep in mind that there's reward at the end, so let that be your goal to finishing the course and completing your studying. A lot of people purchase the course and they don't end up completing it all the way through, so make sure you stay consistent with it, and I will tell you that if you just keep up with it, you'll be completely fine. So switch it up a little bit, go to a new location, study at a new coffee shop, it'll help a lot, or like watch some Selling Sunset or Selling the OC on Netflix, because when you see those people ballin', you're gonna want to be like that yourself. So just try to romanticize this whole process. That's something I did personally, and it led me to where I am now. I passed that exam and I've been so happy and just so proud of myself. And as for my study methods, it usually differs for different people. For instance, for me, I'm a very visual learner, so I also liked to write stuff down with like a pen or a pencil, but I also liked making digital flashcards and watching a lot of videos. So if you're that type of person, I really recommend those methods. Another thing I highly recommend is purchasing a word bank of some sort that could generate practice questions for you, and something that also has like a glossary where you could look at all of the definitions. This helps a ton. The course that I purchased had this additional website. It was called a CompuTrainer, and within that whole website, it had 6 different practice tests with 150 questions each. So it was about like 900 questions, and you could even take the questions by category if you wanted to, and that helps so much. So I took each practice test that they had. Again, that's like 900 questions, and for each of those I wrote each question down with the right answer. And it sounds like a lot, but it helped me so much because when I would take those practice tests again, I would see that question and be like, I recognize this because I wrote it down. So it really does help embed it into your brain and really just grasp that material. I would take the 150 practice exams day and night, which is 2 a day total. It doesn't sound fun at all, but once you get used to it and you get that routine down, then it'll be flying for you every single day. It'll just be like another thing that you have to take, and you'll realize that you could actually take the tests pretty fast. It doesn't have to be a slow process, but just remember that every time you're taking those practice tests, that you're reading the question in depth so that you know how and why the answer is that particular answer. Some other really great resources to help you understand concepts when you're having a hard time is YouTube. Utilize YouTube to the best of your ability because you'll find the answers to things that you don't know. For example, I had to look up a lot of concepts because a lot of them are a lot of law or like principle type of concepts, and I just wasn't really understanding that. But once I looked on YouTube, it helps to break down everything for you. So some really good YouTubers that I recommend you watch are Prep Agent and The Real Estate Classroom. These teachers are phenomenal. They help you understand things in such a nice way, and there's also a lot of methods that they try to give to you so that you remember terminology and the concepts. So for example, they'll make a joke to you and it'll help stick in your head, or they give you acronyms so that you could remember each concept. So definitely helped me when I was taking that exam. I was like, oh, Maria, oh, Pete. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll find those words to be very helpful to you in the future. Also, in your downtime, I really recommend listening to real estate podcasts. So For example, if you're driving and there's a lot of traffic, instead of listening to music, swap that out with something more productive and listen to a podcast regarding real estate. For me, Prep Agent has a podcast on Spotify. I'll listen to that. Literally, he's just reciting different terminology. So he'll be like eminent domain or riparian rights. Just things that will stick in your head, and when you're driving, it's just flowing into your brain and it's sticking with you. Another tip I have for you when studying is to make sure you're doing something day and night. So when you wake up in the morning, try to take a practice test, and when you're about to go to sleep at night, try to take a practice test again. The reason why I say this is because when you start taking a practice test in the morning, you have that information flowing through your head throughout the whole day. And when you take it at night, chances are you could dream about real estate or just have it in your head. So when you wake up, you have something in your head. When you go to sleep, you have something in your brain. So definitely helps me. I recommend that you do the same. Another tip I have for you is from Prep Agent, specifically Joe on Prep Agent. He said to at least learn 5 new vocab words per day. This helps so much because real estate has a ton of different words. If you're not understanding those vocab words, then you're not gonna understand the questions on the practice test. All of that vocabulary is in the questions on the practice test. So number one thing you should be studying first or understanding is the vocab. This is like the prereq to taking those practice exams. Definitely check out Prep Agent on YouTube. They have really good webinars and they go into detail about different concepts. So if you're talking about appraisals or if you want to talk about government powers, there's just specific details on those subjects. Keep in mind that studying is a priority for getting your real estate license. I'm a full-time college student. I was still able to manage it just fine. Honestly, just put away 2 hours aside for your day and fill in studying within that time. Or for example, if you do have plans and you do want to go out, try to limit that. Trust me, it's not too bad, but you do want to make sure that you're staying consistent and on top of the material that you need to be understanding. And just remember the goal at the end, because there's so much reward when getting your license. There's so much that you could do with it. It'll all be very fulfilling at the end. So just remember that. And you also don't want to have to go through the struggle of taking the exam a second time if you fail the first time, because taking the exam the first time is a process. You should apply for the exam when you're scoring 90% or higher on those practice tests. I will tell you, when you apply for the exam, it takes about 1 to 2 months to process, which is a very long time. So keep this in mind, because you usually do want to space out everything, especially when it comes down to studying. To apply for the state exam, you submit your course of completion for the real estate course that you took, as well as some other documentation, and then they process all that information and say that you're ready to go to take that exam. And then from there, you could choose the date that you want to take it, as well as the location. Once you've applied to take your real estate exam, you would have already been studying, but during these 1 to 2 months when you're waiting to take that exam, you're gonna lock in completely. No excuses, no exceptions, because you're passing on the first try. When you're down to those 1 to 2 months of waiting to take that exam, you really need to change your mindset. You're gonna change your mindset and know that you're gonna pass. If you've already been confident in the material that you're learning, stick to it and stay consistent with it, and you will pass on the first try. I guarantee also that if you do apply for a crash course to take as close as you can to your exam, you will pass the exam on your first try. I took a crash course probably about 3 days before taking my exam. It helped so much. It's like from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it's 2 days of doing that, but it really helps retain everything in your head. So definitely sign up for a crash course before taking that exam. Don't be too hard on yourself and try not to fill your mind with doubt before you take your exam, because I know it's such a stressful process, but if you've been prepping and if you've been studying and you've been staying consistent with the material, then you will pass on your first try. Trust me, I was this way and I was thinking of the worst. I just am that person that tends to overthink, and if you're like me, it's just hard to stop that. But what I will say for you now watching this video is try not to have that mindset when going to take that test, because there's just so many nerves that are freaking out before you take that test. You're just very nervous. There's a lot of things going in your head, like what if this happens, what if that happens, but you want to try to get rid of that as much as you can, because the material that should be sticking in your head is the material that you studied. I wish I could say that for myself, but I'm here to say that because it'll save you a lot of time and help you have the clearest mind when taking that exam. Leading up to the day of your exam, or even the week before your exam, the thing that I did, which might sound a little crazy, was I didn't listen to any music whatsoever. Like if I were driving, I would be listening to a podcast. If I'm showering, I would listen to a podcast. And this helped a lot because it allowed information to stick in my head better. And if you do want to listen to music, classical or jazz is the way to go. The nights before your exam, you're gonna want to have a good night's sleep. So try to go to sleep as early as possible so that you can get a full 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, try to eat something because food is brain fuel. So even just a banana or an apple will definitely help you perform better on that test. When you get to the exam center, by this time you'll probably be freaking out like I did. Silently though, in my head, was very nervous. Go in there and just own the place. You know your material, you know the information you've been studying, and you got this. If you stay consistent with it, remember that you will pass on the first try. If you took that crash course, you will pass on the first try. It's usually guaranteed. Try not to talk to anybody when you're waiting to take the exam. I actually heard this from my instructor at the crash course. If you talk to someone before taking the exam and you're just chatting it up and they're asking you, oh, like what time or what try is this? When you're taking your exam, you don't want to feel discouraged when you're going in there. You don't want to be thinking like, oh, I might have to take this again. She just said to just try not to talk to people because you don't want to have any negative thoughts or second guesses on your own self and your abilities. Just smile to people is what she told me specifically, and just do what you need to and get out of there and just pray and wish for the best. Be confident in yourself and know that you got this. A lot of people will tell you that you could study 2 weeks before you take the exam, or you could cram everything in at the crash course. But this is a false statement. Will say it just does not help you efficiently that way. Especially if you do get your real estate license, you want to know what you'll be doing when you hang it under a broker or when you're actually using it. So if you're just trying to pass that exam but you don't know anything after taking that exam, then it would be useless to study, right? So try to understand the concepts to the best of your ability, and if you aren't getting something, it's okay, because usually when you go into working with a broker or getting employed somewhere, they will teach you more on what you need to know, but still do try your best and try to get the most out of the things that you're learning. And if you do all of these things, trust me, you will pass on the first try. Just work hard, do your best, stay consistent with it. Don't give up, don't neglect the course, finish the course and just study, and you got this. Especially if you're someone that's my age or about to turn 18 soon, then I really recommend doing this, because when you have your license young, you'll be able to get more experienced and imagine where you could be at when you're like late 20s. So keep that in mind. Or if you're also someone that's older than me but still wanting to watch this to know how to prepare and study for the exam, I'm so happy that you're here because you got this as well, and I'm rooting for all of you. And that's how I passed the exam on my first try. If I did it, I know that you could do it as well. I'm a full-time college student and I was still able to manage everything. And I know that you probably have things going on in your life too. So just make sure to plan everything accordingly, find a study method that works best for you, and also just take the advice from this video because it helps a ton. Utilize your resources, look on YouTube, write down things physically or create digital flashcards, study practice tests, do all of that, and just make it a daily habit. And once you pass, come back to this video and comment that you passed. I know that you got this and I have faith in you. I'm rooting for you. And once again, my name is Isabella. I'm so happy that you're here. If you're new, definitely subscribe and join the fam. If you also have any additional questions, make sure to either DM me on Instagram or leave it in the comments, and I'll be there to help you as much as I can. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope that the rest of the study process goes smoothly. I know you got this, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye, besties.